everyone, 7 a.m, waking up in the morning, gotta be fresh, gotta go downstairs, gotta have my bowl, gotta have cereal, seeing everything, the time is rushing. Taking on, everyone, welcome to Wrestlers of the Week. It's Friday, and you know what that means? It's my favourite time of the week, because we're going to count down my top 10 favourite wrestlers of the week. And it's been, you know what, I'm not going to lie, there's not been as much wrestling this week as there is in other weeks sometimes, but there has still been a lot of good wrestling this week. So there might be a few unfamiliar faces that we're not too used to seeing in this week's top 10. Whoa, exciting times. I'm so lonely. The honorable mentions are a little bit lighter this week because, as I say, there's not been as much wrestling as in other weeks, certainly not in big mainstream promotions, but at the same time, I will urge everybody to check out Stardom's 5-star GP, which is going up intermittently on their in-demand service, and there's just been some great performances, but apart from that, can't really think of too many honorable mentions. Did I mention Joe Hendry last week? He's been making his debut performances in Ring of Honor, so I'd like to wish him all the best of luck. Fellow WCPW alumni Martin Kirby, he's been over in Dragon Gate killing it. Can't think of anyone. Can't think of anything else. I mean, it's been Stone Cold Steve Austin. There we go. There's your other honorable mention. So now, straight on to number 10 this week, and my number 10 is the man formerly known as Gary Garbutt, the janitor. That's right. It's Cedric Alexander. It's been a really big week for Cedric, arguably the biggest week of his career, certainly in terms of a mainstream audience, because not only was he in the main event of Raw, not only did he pick up the pinfall over AJ Styles in the main event of Raw, but he's also now Steve Austin's best friend, because as soon as Cedric had picked up the 3 count, his own music didn't even play, the glass shattered, and Austin ran out like a dad, wanting to get the beers in and share a bit of a beer bash with all of the baby faces in the ring. The babyface team comprised of Cedric, both Viking Raiders, Rollins and Strowman, the Raw Tag Team Champions, but I do think it was Cedric who kind of stole the show. He was kind of the featured babyface in this match. Just thinking about it there, I guess the other biggest week in Cedric's career would have been the Cruiserweight Classic, when he had that awesome match against Kota Ibushi, which just seems like such a surreal matchup now, talking about it. And then obviously the crowd all chanted, "Please sign Cedric," and then Triple H came out and went, "Alright, yeah, we will sign him." It's taken a few years for him to really ascend to the level that I think his skills should put him at, but he's starting to get there now. And amid rumours of Paul Heyman eyeing him up for a big push in the near future, one that's sort of begun already, I think the future could have big things in store for young Cedi A. So 1 point for Cedric. Now moving on to number 9 this week, picking up 2 points. It's a former New Japan Pro Wrestling talent and now a man who seems caught in that strange bit of limbo bimbo between NXT and 205 Live. But with the rumoured merger about to happen pretty soon probably, I think we'll probably see him crop up again on NXT in the near future. So let's not fear, let's not think he's been condemned to the unpredictable battleground that is the 205 Live Cruiserweight division. I'm talking, of course, about Kushida. Yes, Kushida has been an NXT superstar, but at the same time, he did make his debut on 205 Live this week, teaming with Jack Gallagher to pick up a big tag team victory with his signature hoverboard lock. It was a good performance from Kushida in front of a less than receptive crowd, perhaps a crowd that was sticking around just to see the Fiend in a dark match afterwards, but Kushida still put on a good performance. All 4 men in the match put in a good performance. It's just that it was all about Kushida, wasn't it? Making his 205 Live debut and being the big international star. One thing I will say though is I'm not too confident with how many more points Kushida's going to pick up this year. I mean, this year has been difficult for him in terms of getting points. I'm pretty confident that he would have got way more last year. I haven't checked that, but I'm almost positive that he would have done, just because he was a featured star of New Japan's junior division, and now he's not so much a featured star anymore. And we've seen it with various Japanese stars that have headed over to WWE, with the likes of Nakamura, Asuka. Of course, they were huge in NXT, but once they moved up to the main roster, it's been a bit of a less smooth ride for them, and I do fear that Kushida could be in for the same fate. But for now, he's not on the main roster yet. He's still... You know what? Should we stop referring to NXT as the non-main roster, because it's on TV now? You know what, maybe Kushida will pick up some big points. I could have just been totally wrong there. Maybe he'll become a huge star of TV and really represent the NXT brand going forwards. But I think for the rest of 2019, he might struggle to pick up some points. So I'm delighted to be able to give him 2 this week, and hopefully there are big things in the future, because not only is Kushida a fantastically skilled wrestler, full of experience and explosiveness in the ring, but also he's a really nice guy, because I said well done once after a match he had in WCPW, and then Pacitti laughed at me for saying well done to Kushida. Jack the Jobber, he said. Jack the Jobber saying well done to Kushida. What's funny about that, yeah? Number 8, now let's go to Monday Night Raw for the big featured 4 horsewomen tag team match on Raw, which featured 4 of the biggest stars, of course, in WWE. So therefore, rightfully, it got given quite a lot of time. It had a big fight feel, it was intense, it was eventful, it was action-packed, and my number 8 this week is one of those competitors, and her name is Charlotte Flair. Charlotte is perhaps the only bona fide, I guess, legitimate tweener in WWE right now. You could argue Cesaro as well, perhaps, but Charlotte Flair is in a very interesting position because she is she's a heel still in the way she acts and carries herself, very arrogant, very proud, but at the same time, her position in the landscape of the women's division is nudging her slightly more towards babyface territory, having to team with her former best friend and now current, rival Becky Lynch in order to take down the menace that is Sasha Banks and Bayley. And take them down they did, and it was actually Charlotte Flair who picked up the decisive pinfall, hitting Bayley with natural selection and pinning her in the middle of the ring. She obviously will go on to face Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship on Sunday at Clash of the Champions, and I'm not too confident she's going to get the job done. I've predicted her in our official predictions contest, which is now up online on our YouTube channel, but I don't think she's going to win the match by pinfall or submission. I don't think she's going to walk out of Clash of Champions as the SmackDown Women's Champion. I think it could be via DQ or countout. Number 7, Becky Lynch. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of Becky Lynch, but that's not why I've given her an extra point over Charlotte. This isn't because of personal bias. I just feel like Becky turned in a bit more of a polished performance. I'm talking, of course, about Charlotte's moonsault, which wasn't so much of a moonsault as more of a backflip, and she landed on the canvas and then kind of flopped forwards onto her opponent. It was the one noticeable mistake in a match that was otherwise very, very good. That didn't stop Charlotte from getting on Wrestlers of the Week, but because Becky turned in a bit of a more flawless performance and obviously brought that intensity that she always does to matches like this one, I just thought I'd give her an extra point. She did also pick up the victory as part of that team, but I think her performance was a little bit better, just on the whole, a little bit more polished. That's not to say that she's always more polished than Charlotte, but this week, she was. So I'm going to give that to Becky. She's also got a huge match coming up on Sunday at Clash of Champions against Sasha Banks, one which I am not confident that she's going to win. I reckon Sasha will take her Raw Women's Championship and we'll have Sasha and Bayley as the two champions of the respective WWE brands. But 4 points for Becky Lynch, really good stuff. I think she may be, I'll check this afterwards, but I think she may be the highest scoring woman on Wrestlers of the Week in 2019. Now moving on, sticking with WWE, but moving on to number 6. It's a man who a lot of you may be unhappy to see on Wrestlers of the Week, although to be fair, the way that the tide's been turning in his favour, maybe you won't be too unhappy to see him. It's Big Banter Baron Corbin. Corbin's King of the Ring run, right, has been legitimately just really good. I've loved his heel work. It's been fantastic to see him in a position where he's allowed to thrive because he hasn't actually really changed what he's doing much. It's just the booking around him that has changed to make him more effective. So with a more straightforward game plan, just progressing in the tournament and becoming King of the Ring, maybe, at the end of the day, next week on Raw, we'll find out, Corbin has been a lot more enjoyable to watch. He's not been in a position of authority, he's not been aligned with Shane McMahon, he's not been infuriating people in a bad way, he's been infuriating us in a good way, like a heel's supposed to, in the context of a good storyline. And also, of course, he picked up a big win on Monday Night Raw this week in the King of the Ring semi-final, this whole triple threat kind of thing with him, Ricochet and Samoa Joe in very heelish fashion as well. He'd been choked out by Samoa Joe on the outside and then he just sort of recuperated, waited for Ricochet to hit the big 630 on Joe in the ring, then he dragged Ricochet out of the ring, launched him into the crowd and, slid in and stole the pinfall for himself. What a slippery snake, what a slippery snaky individual, boo. But it was a boo in a good way. Now, I'm not sure if Baron Corbin's going to win King of the Ring next week. I'd like to see him be used to elevate Chad Gable in the final, but at the same time, you know what, I wouldn't be too disheartened if he was to become King of the Ring, just because I think he could really thrive in that role, but we'll see what happens. Next up, number 5, Dragon Lee. Now let's go over to New Japan, where we've had the Super J Cup tournament, which has been in action, and it's been good. It's just that it happened a week or two ago, so we've had to wait a little while. Uncharacteristically, in the case of New Japan On Demand, we've had to wait a little while for it to be up online on New Japan World. But now that it's been up online, there were a lot of great performances, and one of them was put in by Dragon Lee, who went on a great run all the way through to the final and then fell at the last hurdle. But there was no shortage of quality action with Dragon Lee in the ring. He had some great matches with the likes of Yo, that was a good match, Taguchi, which was a bit more of a light-hearted affair, a really flippy match with Caristico, as you might well imagine, and a great match with ELP as well. And I just think that he was the most consistent, I guess, performer in all of the Super J Cup this year. He didn't have the best matches of the tournament, but he was a constant presence, putting on good matches in every single round. And I commend you for that, Dragon Lee. And I'm a really big Dragon Lee fan, and I just want to see him get more featured matchups. I mean, his match with Ospreay a few months ago was one of my matches of the year. I might have even preferred it to Ospreay versus Shingo, but don't tell anyone, because everyone loved Ospreay versus Shingo, and I might get shouted at. Number 4, oh my goodness, one of the biggest stories of the year, I think, certainly outside of WWE. Number 4 this week is Amazing Red. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with Amazing Red, he's been in TNA over the years. He's a bit of a 2000s indie pioneer of flippy, agile wrestling. And to see him match up with Will Ospreay in the first round of the Super J-Cup was absolutely phenomenal. A dream matchup, of course, in terms of junior/cruiserweight style wrestlers, and just a clash of generations as well. It was really awesome to see. And it was clear from this match that Amazing Red very much still has it. They were both flying all over the place. They worked really well together. They just had this instant chemistry. You could tell that Ospreay was delighted to be wrestling someone who he's openly admitted is one of his heroes and major influences in wrestling. And yeah, I was just really, really delighted to see that Amazing Red still easily very much has it in the ring. So 4th place for Amazing Red on Wrestlers of the Week this week, a man who is still going strong despite his time in the sun, I think, probably being largely over. But if he was to go on a renaissance run towards the latter stages of his career, I don't think anyone would complain about that given the showing he put on here. It was probably the best match of the tournament. Speaking of some of the best matches of the tournament, let's go to number 3 this week, and it's one half of Roppongi 3K, or 1/3 if we're including Rocky Romero, but it's not Rocky, it's not even Yo, it's Sho. Sho won Wrestler of the Week once this year because of his excellent performances in the Best of the Super Juniors, and he put on 2 phenomenal matches in the Super J-Cup as well. Maybe Sho is a bit of a sneaky tournament specialist. He had a pair of excellent matches, defeating Taiji Ishimori in round 1 and then falling to Will Ospreay in round 2, and really getting a chance to shine once again as a singles wrestler, which makes me feel so bad for his partner Yo, formerly known of course as Yohei Komatsu, because I mean, he was knocked out in round 1. And his partner goes on to the next round and puts on a couple of absolute bangers. Feels so bad for Yo, but Sho is absolutely killing it, so at the same time, I'm really pleased for him. It's tricky, isn't it? It's tricky. My fickle wrestling fan heart. Number 2, Will Ospreay, right? Don't kill me. Number 2 is Will Ospreay this week. Basically, he had 3 awesome matches. The first one with Amazing Red, possibly the best match of the tournament. The next one with Sho, another of the tournament's better matches. And then he got knocked out by ELP in a match that wasn't as flashy or spectacular, but it was, I will say, it was still very good in terms of storyline. And I know that Ospreay's been absolutely killing it this year in terms of the league table, but you can't deny that he's also been killing it in the ring. A lot of people are already calling him the best wrestler of 2019, and I'm glad that the league table reflects that, even if I am sad that I get so much abuse for making him number 1 so often. Anyway, big 9 points this week for Will Ospreay, and he, like Sho, has really proven himself to be not only a tournament specialist, but an absolute workhorse as well across multiple weight classes. He was obviously in Best of the Super Juniors, which he ended up winning. He was in the G1 Climax, where he had some awesome matches, for example, the one against Okada, and then he's had a really good performance in the Super J-Cup as well. Please stop entering tournaments, Will. I need to stop giving you points. Just stop entering tournaments. Go home, have a cup of tea. Just chill. But number 1 this week, and my Wrestler of the Week, goes to El Fantasma, the winner of the Super J-Cup and maybe the purest heel in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Well, no, wait, I've just remembered Suzuki and Zack. One of the purest heels in New Japan Pro Wrestling. There's also Jay White. Jay White's a pretty pure heel as well. And Gato, maybe the purest heel in the junior division. ELP did a really good job in this tournament of blending excellent matches and good storytelling. He had great matches that showcased both. So against the likes of Eagles and Ospreay, the storyline, the feud between those guys, the feud between Chaos and Bullet Club in the junior division really came to the fore. And even though those matches maybe weren't as excellent as some of the other matches in the tournament, they still were really good in terms of conveying that storyline. At the same time, he also put on some good work rate matches. He had a good match against TJP, remember him? And in the final, he defeated Dragon Lee in another top tier match in the tournament. I wouldn't say the best of the tournament, but maybe the most epic feeling aside from Ospreay versus Amazing Red. Now, you might have seen that El Fantasma did meet with some controversy in the aftermath of his victory over Ospreay in, I believe, the 2nd or 3rd round, where he referred to Ospreay as the autistic assassin. Obviously, that's not a very cool insult at all. But in fairness to ELP, he did apologise for it pretty quickly after the event, and he did seem sincerely apologetic for that. He seemed legitimately sorry. So from my limited interactions with him, he seems like a decent guy. I hope that's true. I hope that it was just a big mistake and he didn't actually mean it. So I've tried to look past that in taking this week's points allocation into account, and I have given him 10 points. He is my Wrestler of the Week. And now we get on to the league table. Not a lot of change this week. Ospreay, of course, has extended his lead at the top, but the big heavy hitters below him didn't feature this week, or at least didn't make it onto the top 10, and therefore didn't pick up any points. You might be able to tell that I'm trying to just kill a little bit of time as we go down the league table, and eventually we'll see that Dragon Lee's performance has helped him springboard onto the top 25 into 21st position. A great week for him. Thanks very much for watching, and let us know what you think in the comments section down below. You can follow Cultaholic on Twitter at Cultaholic and on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. If you enjoy what we do, then please do check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Cultaholic, where you can pledge. And don't forget, of course, most importantly of all, to hit subscribe and to join us.